I went to the door, and the guy said, is your mother home? My mama said she's not here. And she said, that's not what I meant. I wanted you to tell them I just wasn't here, not that I said that I wasn't here. Then my parents told me if I told the truth, I wouldn't get in trouble. Instead of telling me to tell the truth, and since I told you not to do a certain thing, and children at certain ages have to let them know up front what the consequences are, so they can play the tape all the way out. So I did something I wasn't supposed to do. I was told not to do it, but what happened was Mommy told me to tell the truth. And then when I told the truth, I got punished. You think I was highly motivated to tell the truth the next time? I don't think so. So what happened was I found later that if I told one lie, I had to tell another lie, had to tell another lie. When I was in my 20s and had 3 or 4 girlfriends, I was trying to remember who I was with, when I was with, and what I did with who. And sometimes I get the stories mixed up, and I say, oh, Mary, you remember when we were at Steak and Shake? I wasn't at Steak and Shake with you. We went to Wendy's. See, I just put my foot in my mouth because I'm trying to juggle 2 or 3 girlfriends. That's just one example. So the lying goes on and on and on and on. That's just one defect of character or shortcoming that I personally developed. I don't know about you perfect people in the audience. Maybe you can share your story in the last half of the presentation. How do children get damaged? My daughter, which is 11 now, when she was 5 and a half and she asked me, Father, will you take me someplace? I say, yes. Saturday, we'll go at noon. And then I tell her, well, I got a presentation to do. I can't take you. She's disappointed. That disappointment hurts her heart. But children are hardwired to love. So she forgives me without even knowing about the law of forgiveness. And then the next Saturday, I promise to take her. And I do the same thing again. And then she's hurt again. After the 3rd time, humans have what they call built-in defense mechanisms. So what she does is she builds a barrier so that the next time I tell her something, instead of hitting her in the heart, it bounces off. And as time goes on, things that are contradictions, you shouldn't smoke cigarettes. And 5 minutes later, honey, can you take the cigarette to the stove and light it for me? Do you know a 5 or 6-year-old child that lights a cigarette on the stove and takes a puff? That nicotine is nicotine and caffeine are the only 2 drugs in the DSM-4 that you don't go through abuse, you go straight into dependency. Check the book. So now the child inhales the smoke and becomes addicted. How many people in this room, don't raise your hand, at the keynote parties and the card parties that your parents had, would go around and sip on the leftover beer and the alcohol, and then you may find yourself challenged with alcoholism at a later time. Some people say they have a predisposition for alcoholism anyway. But you could start having a problem at 5, 6, 7 years old. And I heard people say this because I worked in the addictions field. And I've heard people tell me this. That's how they got started. Accusations. You ask a child something, they try to tell you the truth, then you accuse them. Telling children lies, whether it's the parents, the aunts, the uncles, the teachers, whoever shows up in their lives. I talked about disappointments. You notice I talk kind of loud. Well, I used to shut down if people started yelling at me. I would shut down. My daughter, when she showed up at 5 and a half years old and we were doing homework, my father died in 1988. When my daughter showed up 5 and a half years ago, and I started working with her with homework, I found myself yelling and pounding on the table. Where did I learn that from? God bless his soul, my father. My father was resurrected in my kitchen. And I told my daughter, you know what, baby? Your father needs to go take a time out. And I would go take a time out and regroup and come back and further assist her with her homework. Excuse me. And it was a real challenge for me to alter my behavior because I didn't want the same thing happen to her